Hello, welcome to this little short video on the short story, which comes up in part 2, section 2 of paper 1, and they are 100-mark questions, just like the personal essays, the other video we made on these long pieces of writing, and they're worth 100 marks, so they're worth 25% of your overall grade. And they're very popular and very common. There's normally 2 of them, 2 options to choose from each year. So they are even more common than the personal essays. They do come up every year. And essentially it's they call it a short story. You could also call it a creative essay, a story. You know, make up a story, make up characters, make up a setting, make up an event, a crisis, and have it resolved or not. And you probably would have been writing these types of things from primary school. Okay? Some of you are good at them, some of you need practice. And one thing I would say is, if you're going to pick this in the Leaving Cert, you'd want to make sure you have practice doing them. They're not something that you just do on the day. You know, you want to get good at these things if you're going to pick one. So the first thing we look at is just what I said a moment ago. It's a popular choice, but make sure you know what you're doing. So it's all about practice, practice, practice. And maybe this video can be the start of that process. Have a look at the past questions. Have a look at the sample. Here's our little OneNote page that you will have. There's the past questions and the sample answer down here. Have a look at how that was written, and that should help you then do your own short story. Now, how do we actually do it? Well, in a short story, you would always describe the setting. So how do you describe a setting? Okay, it has to be set somewhere. Like even if it was set in a dark room is a setting, and you can describe it. You mightn't be able to see much, but you could describe what you hear, what you smell, what you feel. You see, some people think that when they're describing a setting, they only mention what they can see. And they may do that very, very well. But you should always try and focus in on the other senses. What can you hear? What can you smell? What can you feel? In the sample short story that I mentioned a moment ago on your OneNote page, you'll see that being done. Okay? It adds a great depth to your description, and examiners love it. Okay, what else can we do? What other little tip can I tell you? Well, you should limit it to a small amount of characters. Some short stories only have one main character, just one, and he or she is remembering or describing an event that may have more characters, but they're not in the story. It's not a present story. It's not like a play. The person is remembering these people, describing these people, mentioning the conversations or dialogue they had with these people, but they're not actually in the story as a live person, if you know what I mean. That's another thing that people often make a mistake with, you see. They end up writing a play as opposed to writing a short story. They put in loads and loads of dialogue and loads of characters, and it gets very boring and tedious after a while. You can't remember who's who and what's what. So you should limit the amount of characters that are in your short story. Anyone you do mention, why not describe them? Describe them in the same way you describe a setting. What do they look like? What do they sound like? Oopsie daisy, I shouldn't have done that. What do they smell like? And what kind of emotions do they arouse in you when they're near you? Are they scary people? Do they make your heart beat faster? Or do they make your blood run cold? Now, a short story, it should be set over maximum 1 day. Max, absolute max. The best short stories are just set over a few minutes. Just a few minutes. You're describing something that happened. Okay? It can be set over just a few minutes. I always like to think of a short story as, imagine a short film, a 5-minute film. even a 2-minute film. You might have seen some in English class. A short story is like you writing down exactly what happens in a short film. And I'm talking short, very short film. Nothing long, okay? Very much just short. What else? Have the central character, i.e. you. It doesn't have to be you, but I think it's easier to write a short story when you use what's called the first-person narrative. So you put yourself, the I, at the center of the story. You don't create a whole brand new character and describe the character, because then who's narrating the story? You're just much better off, considering that you've got such a limited amount of time to answer this question. You're better off having yourself as the central character. It's easier. Now, if you write in a different way and you're good at writing short stories and you do it differently, that's fine. But I just find that in the short amount of time that you have to answer a leave insert question, it's just easier to answer in the first person narrative. And here's some examples of that. Okay? So how would I begin? You begin in the action. In the action. You don't build up to it. You start right in the middle of it. Here's an example. When he pushed the gun against my head, I knew he meant business. That's the first sentence of a short story. So as a reader, I want to know what's going on. What gun? Who are you? And why is this person pushing a gun against your head? And what is meant by he meant business? What's he going to do? Is he going to kill you? You know? So you begin in the middle of the action. This is the first sentence. Jump straight in. And then peel away what's going on and, you know, what happens. Do you grab the gun off him and run out the door? Do you, I don't know, negotiate something with him? I want to find out, but that's your story. And what I was talking about a moment ago, have the central character as you, the first person narrative. There it is right there. When he pushed the gun against my head. Okay, you are the central character. You are the center of the action. Now, or you could use flashback. So you could start your essay with something like this. I can still see her face pressed against the glass, beckoning me to come out. So it's kind of similar to beginning in the middle of it, but it's clear that you're looking back on something that happened in the past. And that kind of gives you a distance, and it can kind of make you go now into the present where several things have been resolved that you don't reveal until the end of your story. So it cuts out the need to deal with all of that. Time has dealt with all of that. You're just looking back and you're telling us, the reader, what happened gradually until we eventually get to the present time where you reveal what happened. Okay, it's another little technique. So there's two ways you could start a short story. Jump straight in. Don't, you know, it was 9 o'clock and the alarm bell went off and I got out of bed and I brushed my teeth and I went to school. In school, I got my books and I went to class. After geography class, I met my friend, and my friend told me that there was a bomb in the car park. Yeah, that's great, but could you not have just started off with the bomb? Like a sentence would. When my friend tapped me on the shoulder and told me that the bomb was about to go off, my blood ran cold. Now that's much better. Cut out the nonsense. Cut out the building up to stuff. Just jump straight in, get into the story and grab the reader's attention. Have fun in a short story. So make your character or characters unusual or odd. Be a different person for an hour. When in life are you going to get a chance to create a fictional, magical story over the course of an hour? Now, of course, you're in an exam hall and you're under a bit of pressure, but forget that. Create something that's different, something that grabs the reader's attention. Be a different you. Be a different person. Okay, if you're going to put yourself, like we said, if you're going to use the first person narrative and you put yourself at the core and the center of the story, why not be a different version of yourself? Why not be a weirdo? Or if you are a weirdo already, why not be a murderer? Now, hopefully none of you are murderers already, but if you are, why not be a detective? You know, be somebody different. Use a variety of words or similes or metaphors. So just have fun with language. You know, people love reading different ways of describing things and clever word plays and similes. He was as big as a whale. Or metaphors. He was a whale. You know, just different ways of writing. Now, plan. This is really important. If you're going to do a short story, right, if you're going to pick the short story, never is it so important to plan than for a short story. Because if I have to read one more short story where the final sentence is, and I woke up, it was all a dream, I will probably, I don't know what I'll do, but it's terrible. Because what it shows is the person didn't plan and is now running out of time and is kind of cutting their losses by just wrapping everything up into the old, oh, it was a dream. And like moments earlier, there was a bomb was about to go off, or a plane was about to crash, or some lad had a gun against their head. And it was a dream? You know, it's a rip-off. You got me interested, you got me reading the story, and then you say, it was all a dream. Oh, God, that's like watching a TV show for, it's like watching a TV series for, you know, like Game of Thrones for 6 or 7 years, and then at the end of it, the last episode, it was, really? Is this how it's all going to end? You know, it would be a letdown. Don't end on a dream. Right? You know, in your plan, you should kind of think, you can plan for up to 15 minutes. God, even 20. If you still, like, plan and make sure you have an idea. What's going to happen? How am I going to start it? What's going to happen to my character? And then how am I going to end it? Okay? A start, a middle, and an end. Just a brief idea, a plan in your head that you can work from, so that you don't get snookered and end up with 2 minutes left and the examiner looming over your shoulder saying, please, time is up, please, and you putting down, it was all a dream. Because I can tell you this much, that's a nightmare, not a dream. Not good. Okay, that's more or less the end of this little video. I hope it was of some use. Remember, use this video, go into the sample answer in the OneNote and try one of these questions, 2019, 2018, 2017. There's 2 essays for each year included. Okay, that's it for me. Give them a go.